This is the Sick'em Podcast, powered by Rogue Media Network. The Sick'em Podcast is a production of Baylor Athletics. Now, join the voice of the Bears, John Morris.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to this week's Sick'em Podcast, powered by Rogue Media Network, a production of Baylor Athletics. We're glad you're with us this week. John Morris on a little bit of a different week football-wise. As this podcast is released, Baylor is maybe about to kick off, or certainly later today going to kick off in Morgantown, West Virginia, against the Mountaineers, a Thursday night game. As such, it's been a different schedule, open date last Saturday for the Bears, and we took advantage of that. And we have with us Baylor senior linebacker Dillon Doyle as our guest on the Sick'em Podcast. Welcome to you. We appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me, J-Mo. It's always good to sit down and speak with you. So.
You bet. It's great to visit with you. I'm glad we have the time. Normally, during the season, except for the open date, we wouldn't have this much time with you.
Right.
But this works out great. What is it like? You get into that routine, don't you, of Saturday. All of a sudden, you got a Thursday game in there.
Yeah, thankfully we have the bye week ahead of time, so it's really like we have two half bye weeks. Just with the timing of everything. So we got a day off earlier this week, and then we'll get some time off on the back end of the West Virginia game. But it's thankfully it doesn't make the West Virginia week short, because that obviously changes some preparation. You talk about some of the NFL teams that have to turn around like Sunday to Thursday. That's a difficult thing. We don't really have to deal with that, thankfully. So we get to go through a full game week, and we'll practice over the weekend and get all the game prep that we need in, and hopefully be ready to go when we arrive in Morgantown.
Yeah, Coach has just backed the schedule up, so last Saturday was Monday, right? Sunday was Tuesday, and you just make it work that way.
Yeah, a little bit. You kind of go in like a vortex of time, because Saturday's Monday, Sunday's Tuesday, or whatever. So it kind of just a little translation there. So a little bit hard to deal with language-wise, but other than that, we're kind of just normal game week, just going about it the way we know how.
And the coaches are really good, aren't they, of making it as normal a game week as possible?
Yeah, it'll be the same thing, with the exception of not having class before practice on Saturday, Sunday. But yeah, we're attacking it like a normal game week, and just continuing to get better at that as we move along through the season, becoming pros. And obviously, as the season goes on, practice shortens up a little bit to keep us fresh, but always working on the mental side of things and watching tape and all of those things, and using that time that way rather than kind of beating on our bodies on the field like we do early in the season.
Yeah, that's smart. Well, does this, we have no control over it. Everybody has open dates over the course of the season, but is this a good time? You're 5 games in. Obviously, with a Thursday night game coming up, it makes a lot of sense, but is this a good time for a little bit of a break?
Yeah, I'd say I'm a little biased, but yeah, I think so. Just from the standpoint of, you go through a 4 or 5 week camp, and then we're however many weeks into the season now, 5. So we've gone through 10 weeks of football where we're hanging out every day watching tape. So one day off is pretty nice, yeah. And then we'll have 3 on the back end, as I kind of alluded to, but. Yeah, it's always nice to get a little recharge. Like, we're normal people too, so and we're dealing with a lot academically as well as athletically. So, kind of getting time to either catch up or get ahead on academics, and then maybe taking some time, call the family or call some friends that you need to talk to, and just getting back in touch with yourself that way is a really positive thing about the bye week. So. We have that 10-week sprint, and then however many weeks we have until the end of the regular season. So,
very good. Well, you said checking on family or calling on family. It's really important. I know that's really important to you. We'll talk about where the number 5 came from for you. But your dad was in Florida, right, as the hurricane came through there?
Yeah, so he was lucky enough to evacuate. I know a lot of people didn't get that luxury, obviously, thinking about those people and the challenges that they're facing right now. The beach that we usually go to, Fort Myers Beach, is pretty destroyed, and that's a sad thing. And I know they're needing thoughts and prayers and things like that. So appreciate anybody that can give those. But yeah, definitely thinking about those people. A lot of people impacted by the hurricane, but I mean, I've had. Coach Aranda called me right after to make sure my family was okay, and then I've gotten several emails from people. So like that definitely means a lot. The support system that we have here at Baylor, and definitely thankful to be a part of that and have that on my side. So
yeah, very good. I mean, I think last I heard, 100 lives lost in Florida through that hurricane.
Yeah,
maybe even up north of Florida. But your dad's okay. He evacuated and got
Yep,
out.
Yep, whole family's okay.
Minimal damage.
Yep.
Minimal damage at your place there.
Yeah, a couple lights broken here and there, but thankfully we don't live too close to the beach. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Good. So.
That's good. That'll be a good cleanup job when you get some time.
Yeah. Right.
To go down there and help him. That'll be great.
Yeah.
What about with your dad? You grew up in college athletics, really,
Yeah.
didn't you? Hey, what was that like for you?
It's a special thing. I mean, I felt like I grew up with a ton of older brothers. Obviously I have the two, Declan and Donovan. They're the best big brothers that I could ask for, but I felt like I grew up around a family of football, and I was really thankful to have that. Just so many great mentors growing up, whether it's, a few names to put on the list are like Marshall Yonda, Dallas Clark, guys like that have kind of mentored me along the way, Chad Greenway, kind of those classic Iowa football names that I think people around the country know from their football ability. I know from their work ethic and their, their family-oriented nature. And so they've had a huge impact on me, and just so lucky to have been able to be a part of that college athletic scene, kind of growing up.
Yeah, that's cool. Were you destined to go to the University of Iowa?
I guess so. Yeah. It was always a dream of mine to play for my dad, and so it was very cool to get to do that. The Children's Hospital across the street that they wave up at after the first quarter of every game. That's a really special thing, and I was actually born in that hospital.
Wow,
so
that's
yeah,
great.
it was kind of full circle for me to be born there and then get to play across the street and be able to wave up at those kids. So that was a really special opportunity.
Yeah.
But obviously, very glad I'm at Baylor. I think God has had His hand in my life in a lot of different ways, and being at Baylor has been a big part of that. At least my coming to realize that, and just the people that I've been around, and the people that I hope I've impacted is. I really feel God in my life in that aspect. So very thankful to be here.
Yeah, that's good. And you definitely have and continue to impact a lot of people. And you're a great representative of Baylor football. And we're glad you're here now.
Yeah.
When you were looking to transfer, when you left to Iowa, what was that process like for you that led you here?
Yeah, it was definitely difficult, but it was in the summer of 2020, so that was a hard time for a lot of people, around the country, dealing with a lot of loss and, a lot of hardship with the COVID pandemic. So, I kind of think I was dealing with probably a little bit less than a lot of people at that time. So, but was lucky enough to be able to talk to Coach Rand on the phone, and he was kind of advertising everything that I wanted in a program when it came to relationships and building the person off of the field. And so I got really excited about coming to Baylor and playing for Coach Roberts and just taking part in something. And I remember, when I released my statement that I was entering the transfer portal, I said something like, I look forward to helping my next team on their way to a championship. And kind of looking back at that, it's pretty special that we were able to do that last year. And a big part of that was the leadership last year and the people that I've had contact with, whether that's Terrell or Petrie or McVay, JT, a bunch of guys on the offensive side of the ball. Just very thankful for all of their leadership and all of their impact that they've had on my life. So
yeah. What was your first contact, maybe in person or maybe it was just over the phone, with Coach Aranda?
I got in contact with him over the phone, and we had a talk about philosophy, I think. because I was hoping to minor in philosophy at the time from the University of Iowa, and he's actually a philosophy major, and so I mean at the time I was a recruit, so I was like trying to get his interest in me, like, hey, like,
right.
please give me a scholarship so I can have somewhere to go. So like I'm trying to talk about philosophy with him, and he's a super smart dude. Like I think he still studies philosophy. Like he's very into personal growth and things like that. And so, I mean, I go in his office and he has like binders of like philosophy classes on his desk as a head football coach in the Power 5, and it's just crazy to me.
That's true.
But like it kind of goes back to just how thankful I am to have his impact on my life. He's somebody that I look up to quite a bit, whether that's professionally as a football coach or just personally. He has such integrity and humility in the way that he goes about things, and just very thankful to have his impact on my life. So yeah, that conversation was kind of funny. Just looking back on it now, just our relationship and how it's grown, and yeah, very thankful to have him as a mentor.
Well, I ask you that question because in some ways, and tell me if anybody has told you this, but you guys are you're kind of like two peas in a pod, you know? Hearing him and some of the things Coach Aranda says, either in interview settings or press conference or something, and then we see you up there behind the mic, and it's almost like his words are coming out of your mouth a lot of times.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of just spit up what he feeds me sometimes.
Which is good stuff. I mean, it's good.
Yeah, very thankful.
Yeah.
He's super smart, so if I can sound anything like him, that's a good thing. Yeah.
No, it's
sure.
a great guy to emulate, and
no
you know,
doubt.
the things he says absolutely are good to reinforce the message, if you will, for Baylor. What about Coach Roberts? How's that been?
It's great. Yeah, his knowledge on the defensive side of the football, and just his ability to simplify that, I think, is a real it's real evidence of mastery. And so I really view him as a master of his craft. He spends a lot of time kind of cooking up the game plan and making sure we're in the right stuff. And so very thankful to have his defensive knowledge, and then just as a person too. He really preaches that person over player mindset, and he fits well into the whole system. And he's just been such a great impact, and absolutely learned a lot from him, whether that's X's and O's or whether that's life. We were thankful enough to where it was great to have his son here. He worked in the strength and conditioning on the staff here for a little bit. He's at Florida now, so pretty cool to have Reed here, and then just the impact that his family has had on our whole culture has been great. So
that's great.
Yeah.
Speak to our listeners about person over player. I mean, to me that's one of the best things that Coach Aranda and the staff have going here, and it's real too. I mean, that's not just just a public statement or face or something. It really is real.
Yeah, I think a big part of that is just recognizing that, hey, you have a limited window to be a college athlete. And a big thing that we talk about, Coach Roberts especially, it's like you can use football or football can use you, you know. And so you can use football to, you know, grow as a person, to get an education and set yourself up well for the next, 40 years of your work life or 60 years of your, personal life with great relationships, and kind of setting those models in your life to make sure that, you're going about things the right way, whether that's work ethic or, study habits or whatever. So that is a big thing. And yeah, it's I don't know. It's hard to speak on just because you see it so much. And you see such good examples of it every single day. Sometimes it's hard to, differentiate that from, what other programs have going on because I'm in the middle of it. But I think hopefully one day I'll look back and appreciate it, like some people seem to appreciate it.
Yeah.
But yeah, very thankful for that.
Yeah. I really appreciate it for you guys, because we talk about preparing champions for life and growing everyone, athletically, but academically, spiritually, socially, also here at Baylor. And to me, you're a great example of that. I mean, because of the way you carry yourself, the way you represent Baylor now, but I can see that continuing the rest of your life also.
Yeah, thank you. It's certainly a huge honor to wear the BU logo on my chest, and there's a lot of people that I respect here and a lot of people that I admire, and I hope to give back in the same way that they've given to me. Someday, it'll take a while. It'll probably take my life because I feel like I've been given so much, and just so thankful for people's generosity and giver attitude rather than taker attitude, as you see, and I think in a lot of places. So, yeah, very thankful.
Dillon Doyle is our guest, Baylor linebacker on the Sikkim podcast, powered by Rogue Media Network. I've had the privilege of calling games, telling stories about Baylor athletics for a long time. Storytelling is an art, and there's a network in town doing just that. Rogue Media Network has produced over 80 original podcasts and shows ranging from comedy, true crime, business, and sports. If there's a story to tell, Rogue Media Network is telling it. You can find this podcast and all the other great Rogue Media Network shows on Spotify, on Apple, on YouTube, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. Dillon, you mentioned some of the guys that came before you, some of the guys that were all around you last year, Terrell Bernard, Jalen Petrie, JT, you mentioned him, and then the offensive guys who have moved on. And how fun is that to see them and their success moving on to the next level?
Oh, my gosh, it's the coolest thing in the world. I mean, they're living their dream, and just so happy for them.
Yeah.
So happy for them. I talked to Terrell on the phone earlier this week, and just hearing about his experiences now and how Baylor has shaped him has been very, very cool. And just hearing about the kind of he was a pro when he was here. And same thing with Petrie and same thing with JT. They just really went about their business the right way with high integrity and great work ethic and just the whole thing. And so really, really appreciate them and their impact on our program, and just really, really proud of them and the way that they're going about, their professional careers. It's also really cool to see them produce. I mean, I turn on the TV on Sundays or Monday night or Thursday night, and they're out there making impact on, the biggest football games in America, and that's just so cool to see them do that. I know that they've put that work in, and they deserve that, so I'm just very proud.
That's fun. They left, and obviously a great season last year, Big 12 championship, Sugar Bowl win, best season in Baylor football history last year. They leave, and it can be a void, in leadership when those guys move on. They're going to move on at some point. To me, you have helped fill that void of leadership. Did you, going into this year, feel like you and some others needed to step up and fill that role?
Yeah, certainly. And I think as much as you try to eliminate a hierarchy on a team, no matter what, there will be one. And so kind of like when the A-listers move out, the B-listers need to become the A-listers in some sense. And so, that was definitely after some introspection early in the off season, you kind of realize the things that you need to do. And I think, even in week 5, there are things that we need to continue to do as leaders. Because so much of what Terrell and Petrie became, and all of those guys, I mean, so much of what they became was the result of growth over the course of the 12-week season. Thankfully, what became a 14-game season, but they grew during that time, and I'm still in that growth process. So is the rest of our leadership group, and there's always challenges that we have to deal with, and so kind of going about those challenges in a systematic way and making sure that we're dealing with them, through our set of values as a football program and personally is kind of the biggest thing. And so communication is a big part of that, and we've been working on that, and we continue to work on that as we move through the season.
Yeah, that's great. One of the those qualities that you have that I've talked about has helped you become a semifinalist for the Campbell Award, which is an outstanding award, the William V. Campbell Trophy. The best way to describe that is it's the Heisman for academics, and you're a semifinalist on that list. Congratulations to you. Yeah,
thank you. It's definitely cool, very cool to be recognized for the work that has been put in off of the field. There's a lot of late night studying, a lot of group work that goes into being successful academically. So very thankful to have had that opportunity and to have had the support systems that have allowed me to get to this point. My mom's a teacher, so that's a big part of who I am is education and growth in the academic space, and kind of setting myself up for the next step, whatever that is. So very thankful to have that. And then also just the trophy itself is very cool to me because it's named after Bill Campbell. He was a football coach at, I think, Columbia, and then became an advisor in Silicon Valley to Steve Jobs and some other, big name people. And I actually read a book on him called The $1 Trillion Coach, and that was before I was nominated for any of this stuff. Yeah. So kind of to be associated with his name is a really big deal, and very thankful for that. He's somebody that I would definitely look up to and want to be like in the professional world, and he's had his impact on the world. So if I could have a fraction of that impact, it would be very cool.
Wow. So when the nomination came, or the you being named a semifinalist, you knew immediately. You had a background. You knew what this meant, what it stood for.
Yeah, absolutely. It's it just, like I said, it's very, very humbling to be, mentioned in the same sentence as him. He's definitely a professional mentor to many, and he's had his impact on the world through the companies that he's helped, and even the people that he's coached over the course of his professional life. So very thankful.
So the Campbell Trophy recognizes the absolute best football scholar athlete in the nation for his combined academic success, football performance, and exemplary leadership. Gosh, isn't that great? You're on that list, and to me, you're very high on that list. It recognizes really a very well-rounded student athlete.
Yeah. I try to be well-rounded.
You are.
Yeah. But it's just the demands of being a student athlete are very demanding, strenuous. So it is it's a difficult thing for sure to try to succeed in a lot of different areas, and it's definitely an opportunity that I don't take lightly. I know there are a lot of people, high schoolers message me all the time just about their dreams of being in my shoes someday and playing at the next level. Just like I have dreams of playing in the NFL, their dreams are to play in college. And so I'm in a special time in my life for right now, for sure, because I'm in my last season of college football. I've looked up my whole life to being in the position that I am now. And so a big thing for me has just been trying to stay present through the whole thing and enjoying this and trying to kind of deflect the attention, just from the standpoint of there are a lot of people around me that support me and have gotten me to this position, and there are a lot of people that I can impact and create value in the world through that. And so that's a big thing. And then just also, I know it, being a student athlete is really hard for a lot of people. And so I don't know if there's any student athletes listening to this podcast, but last week was Student Athlete Mental Health Awareness Week. And so it's really important to know that you can talk to somebody if you need to. It is really hard to be a successful student athlete, and just if you need help, get help. So
that's great. And Baylor has that in place. Our mental health athletic services is available. Much like the academic services, don't we have, a very good, really helpful, functioning group of people who support you guys and girls?
Yeah, no doubt. We have our team meetings are kind of probably unique in a lot of ways, and one of the ways that they're unique is that we have the sports psychologists come up and talk to us once a week, and so they talk about dealing with pressure, dealing with time management, dealing with all of the demands of being a student athlete, and so we feel like we have really good strategies to deal with those things, which is, I think, just a great perk of being a Baylor Bear, and another reason on the long list of why I'm lucky to be a Baylor Bear. So
that's great to say. Well, congratulations being a semifinalist. We'll look forward to when they pare that list down to the finalists and then present the William V. Campbell Trophy coming up in December, I think, right, is when the presentation is.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just focused on winning on
I
Thursday.
hear you. I know. You got other things going on right now.
Yeah.
Charlie Kohler won this award last year.
Yeah.
Remember him, the big tight end from Iowa State?
Yeah, no doubt. Very cool.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can keep in the Big 12.
That would be really, really
Yeah.
good. So some of the other past winners of this award, Justin Herbert won it in 2019. Barrett Jones from Alabama, going back a few years. Sam Acho from Texas. A guy named Tim Tebow won the William V. Campbell Award.
Yeah.
So it's a really a who's who list, and this is just such a tremendous honor, and it's great that you're a part of this as a semifinalist.
Yeah, for sure. Very lucky. I don't know. Even if I'm not a finalist, and obviously there's probably a very good chance that I'm not a finalist. I'm just lucky to be on that list, and very cool to be recognized with a great group of dudes. So,
I mentioned this earlier. You, when you had the opportunity, you switched your number to number 5, and there's some pretty good family significance to that number.
Yeah, definitely. So I have 5 people in my family. It's me, my 2 older brothers, Donovan and Declan, and my parents, Chris and Tia. And so I just think that's it's a special thing to wear Doyle 5 on my back. We've stuck together through hard times, and through hard times we've become closer as a family and chosen to lean on each other. And we talk about in team meetings right now. A big thing is we've been talking about how teamwork isn't 50-50, and when one person needs to pick up the slack, it's important that they do. And I think that's how a good organization works and how a good family works. And so when one person needs support, you kind of lift them up and support them emotionally. And so that's a big thing that we've gone through as a family, and very thankful to have their support. My parents make it to every single game, which obviously, like, so blessed to be able to have that, them in the stands every Saturday. And my brother moved to Austin because my brother Donovan, because he works a job in the financial industry, so in financial tech, and so I'm very thankful to have him come up for pretty much every home game now. So
nice.
Very cool deal. So
very good, very great family. I can tell you're a real family man, and that's really cool to see. Other than that, you mentioned the NFL, and after this year, I'm sure you have aspirations to continue playing in the NFL.
Yeah, and so like I've thought about that for sure, and but a big part of that is kind of what I already talked about with the staying present, because I'm a starting Mike linebacker on a Power 5 defense right now, and I get to play offense too sometimes. So I don't take that lightly, and I look at the opportunity at the next level, and it's amazing, and it's the thing that I dream about for sure, and the thing that I'm working towards. But to overlook the things that I have right now would just be a travesty. I feel very lucky to be in the position that I'm in, and I have probably 2 months here left of this opportunity, and just trying to make the most of it and impact the people around me, and make sure I support the people around me for sure.
It's great perspective. When you mentioned some high schoolers reach out to you, message you, and things.
Yeah.
What are they asking about? What's your reply and your message to them?
I don't know. It's a whole range of things.
Yeah.
Like, hey, can you send me a pair of gloves? Is some of them, but then some guys will be like, hey, will you send me some linebacker drills? Some are like, hey, like, you're a beast. Like, really love watching you play.
That's great.
I appreciate all those messages just because I know I was in that position at one time. When I was in high school, I would message random college linebackers and be like,
Really?
hey, like,
Yeah.
I love watching you play. Like, and that's a cool thing about social media, but it's also a really unfortunate thing about social media because, like, the people that, want to kind of get to you, they can get to you.
Yeah.
So that kind of stinks, but it is really cool to make those connections and kind of highlight the positive side of social media. So, I try to message all those guys back and
Very cool.
and let them know, like, hey, they're appreciated and, they have a chance too. So.
That's cool. That's great that they feel like they can reach out to you, and even better that you respond to them. Anybody message you and say, hey, I'd like to play linebacker and be really good at it, but I'd also like to run it in for touchdowns and catch a touchdown pass every once in a while.
Yeah, I mean.
How great is that?
I really feel like I'm living the dream, and a big part of that is, I mean, Coach Grimes has, like, really gone out of his way to make sure that I know what I'm doing offensively and to give me those opportunities. Like, he doesn't have to call those plays. So definitely appreciate that. Like, it's a really cool thing. But I think the biggest thing is just capitalizing on the drive that the offense has completed to get to that point. And I feel a little bit selfish being the one to take the ball in after they do all that work. But I know they appreciate anybody getting it in the end zone at any time. So. It's a really cool thing to kind of take part in their culture and that RVO culture. So
yeah, where did this start? I mean, how did the idea even come about that you'd play some on offense?
Yeah, so so Coach Grimes was hired last offseason, and so we went through last spring, and they were kind of trying guys on the defensive side of the ball at fullback. Because just the way that our roster is structured, we don't have a lot of big bodies from like 220 to 260 on the offensive side of the ball. Most of those guys are either at linebacker or jack because of the way that our offense was and the way that we've been recruited. So like running backs usually get up to like 225, and then tight ends usually start at like 255. And so they needed kind of a middle body. Yeah. And so they started guys over there. Like, I think Matt Jones got some reps. And even Braden Utley got some reps, too.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then, they had run those plays on the offensive side of the ball. And I have a history of playing two-back offenses. Like, every single inside run period at Iowa, it was two-back offense. Okay. And so I felt like I was really good fitting those runs up from the defensive side. And so I was lucky enough. Coach Grimes was like, hey, like, you look like you're fitting these really well. Would you want to try from the other side? And I was like, absolutely. Yeah.
Now in high school going back, did you go two ways?
Yeah, I played tight end and linebacker at Iowa City West.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, very it was fun, but I played a lot of plays in high school.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
I mean, I probably played 100 plays a game. So, it was that was really fun, and I'm thankful to kind of use those skills at the next level too. So,
well, and you come in and you're not only like a blocking back. I mean, you'll get the ball and get to score a touchdown, and then BYU last year caught a touchdown pass. Also.
Yeah,
you had good hands there.
Thanks. Yeah.
Back to your tight end days.
Yeah, for sure. I think a lot of that just goes back to like the multiple sports that I played in high school.
Yeah.
I mean, I played. Not even just high school, just growing up, like in the backyard in Iowa, you do everything. So there's not a whole lot else to do. I mean, just with my big brothers, just throwing passes around, and we even had a game that we called Stuff that we played in our basement on a wrestling mat. So I was the ball carrier always, and my brothers would be on their knees, and it was goal line defense.
Yeah.
So I mean, some of my success at fullback might be. Throwing back to the basement at Deerfield Drive, just playing Stuff.
There you go.
Thankful to them for teaching me those skills.
Really cool.
So yeah, big shout out to them.
Yeah, way to go.
Yeah.
All right, well, we appreciate your time. Thanks very much, and good luck the rest of this season. Congratulations on the Campbell Award, being a semifinalist there, and we'll continue to watch that. And I just, like I said at the beginning, I really appreciate you and the way you represent Baylor University and Baylor football. I mean, you are what the program is all about. So thanks for the way you carry yourself, and good luck the rest of the year.
No, yeah, thank you. It means a lot to wear the BU logo and to be able to represent, all the alumni, all the people that have supported me, and just the growth that this university has allowed me to go through while I've been here has just been just unbelievable, and so thankful for all the people around, and thank you for all that you do representing us as a university and as student athletes, as an athletic department. So it means a lot, and thank you for everything.
It's an honor. It really is. Dillon Doyle, our guest on the Sick'em podcast. Have you been looking for a new podcast to listen to? Are you interested in true crime, funny one-star reviews, or inspiring stories? What about the history of Waco or the famous people who have lived and worked here? All these and more are produced by Rogue Media Network. There are over 80 different shows, including this one, with more coming all the time. If there's a story to tell, Rogue Media Network is telling it. Watch on YouTube or listen now wherever you get your podcasts, or watch on YouTube. Thanks to Dillon Doyle, Baylor's senior linebacker, our guest on this week's Sick'em podcast. It is powered by Rogue Media Network. And thanks for listening. We'll talk to you next week with another edition of the Sick'em podcast.
You've been listening to the Sick'em podcast, powered by Rogue Media Network. The Sick'em podcast is a production of Baylor Athletics.